What is prayer? By all standards of Western religious thought, it could be understood as an attempted invocation of the divine will on one finite individual behalf. That is, an attempt to solicit aid from one's God of choice in one's personal affairs. In essence, this amounts to a rather severe theological problem. While on the face of it, it seems rational that a God who cares about his creation would help his creation in need, this attempt at reconciling the goodness of God with omnipotence presents something of a philosophical problem, because the overriding premise of any deity in Western religious thought, the overriding premise concerning attributes attributed to the deities in Judeo-Christian Islamic thought, that sort of a deity, always invariably include omnipotence. And omnipotence necessitates perfection of the will, of the divine will, of the divine plan. Teleology is absolute. There is, in effect, no conceivable alteration of a plan that is perfect. For if it is perfect, whence arises the need to alter it? So the very notion of prayer is an attempt to alter the divine will, to solicit aid and effect change that would not have occurred had you not said the prayer. The prayers are an attempt to essentially change the course of the divine universe, and to effectively this effectively makes one's finite will paramount to the divine and infinite will. A finite human solicitation can affect an infinite and apparently infinitely perfect plan to be altered, then it's not so, the plan is not so infinitely perfect after all. So what if you believe in the premise of omnipotence as well as a monotheistic deity, then I'm not sure what exactly you're attempting to accomplish when you pray. If it is meant to happen, it will happen, regardless of your prayer or not. It is the height of arrogance, and not to mention blasphemy, to presume that because from your myopic, microscopic point of view, things are not going according to plan, you will presume to alter the epitome of prescience, the divine plan, which can have no faults and which can have, which can brook no opposition. And by your attempted solicitation of intervention in your life, you essentially disregard that. If you accept, of course, this overriding premise of a purely omnipotent being who is perfect in all aspects, who has perfect teleology, that is to say, whose plan, whose purpose is without fault, because this being is without fault, there can arise no situation which justifies prayer from the standpoint of the prayer. Assuming he is a finite being, in which case, if he wasn't, then obviously that wouldn't be arising anyway. So if you're going to pray, essentially you are praying with the notion that you will have an effect on your God, that you will essentially change his mind, his infinitely perfect mind, which, if he is infinitely perfect, is already made up from the outset. And nothing you do or say could ever affect that outcome. So essentially, if you are a believer in Western revealed religions, you don't have the right to pray. You don't, the conception of prayer makes no sense. There is no means by which you are capable of altering, of essentially establishing a new order, by your own will. If it is going to happen, it will happen, and you will have nothing to say about it, and you have no right to complain if things do not go as you want, because what you want, assuming you believe in the hierarchy of your being and his privileged knowledge, what you want is absolutely irrelevant, at least from your perspective. You must have faith that your needs have been taken care of, have been taken into consideration, and will continue to be. And to attempt to supersede that prayer is essentially an attempt to supersede your faith. It's cheating. You aren't faithful any longer because you're not trusting your divine creature to do as he supposedly said he would in whatever revelatory book you believe in. If the books he ghost wrote or whatever are supposedly infallible, you must take him at his word, assuming his word is what you believe. So if you believe it, act as if you do. And if this is somehow irreconcilable, that your desires should, your hopes and thoughts should be forced to fall upon deaf ears or should have no outlet whatsoever, then perhaps Western revealed religion is not for you. If the notion of finite human suffering being irrelevant to whatever infinite plan is unfolding beyond your head, if your own suffering is from your point of view not being attended to, and you seem to be suffering needlessly, or you just don't understand why such and such an occurrence takes place in your everyday life, you certainly can't hope to solve it by petitioning your being for intervention. Your petitions are worth nothing to a being which is beyond all petitioning as such. If that being is responsible for all it is, the only path that can be taken is the one that's been established from the outset of all that is. And so if you think you're on that path, then you will have to just follow ahead without looking back, without looking around you. You'll have to maintain your tunnel vision and your absolute and undaunted faith in the idea that whatever seemingly irrational happenstances may befall you, whatever hazards you must endure, they are for your own good ultimately. If you can't live with that, then you cannot live as a believer in revealed religion.